At the end of May, the US-China tariff war reignited. Trump's mad. He's calling out the CCP for breaking the deal again. What tricks is the CCP playing? Today, let's dive in and figure out why the tariff war is back in a deadlock. Hey guys, welcome back to Final War with Katherine Hu. On May 30th, Trump dropped a bombshell on Truth Social. First, he bragged that his tariff war had devastated China's economy. Tons of factories shut down, even civil unrest breaking out. Then he said he didn't want to see that chaos, so he made fast deal with the CCP and saved them from a very bad situation. Thanks to that deal, China went back to normal. Everybody was happy. But by the end of his post, he flipped the tone. Bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. That's a lot to unpack. So what did Trump mean by civil unrest? And why did he say China totally violated the deal from the Swiss talks? Let's break this down. Yesterday, Treasury Secretary Bessent went on Fox News and spilled some of the inside scoop. He said US-China trade talks are totally stuck right now. One thing he pointed out, because the issues are so huge and complex, he thinks only a direct phone call between Trump and Xi could break the deadlock. There's also a key detail. Bessent didn't call Xi president. He called him Party Chair Xi. That's a big deal. It shows that the US is making a clearer distinction between the CCP and the Chinese people. The fight isn't with China, it's with the CCP. What did the CCP do to totally violate the deal? The Wall Street Journal dug in and found out. The US demanded China restore export permits for rare earths. Those are crucial materials for electric cars, chips, and missiles. At the last minute, China's vice premier, He Lifeng, agreed. That's why the US paused the new tariffs for 90 days. So rare earths were the key sticking point. But what happened? As soon as the ink was dry, Beijing started dragging its feet. Rare earth permits still aren't getting approved. American companies are taking the hit, especially automakers. Some are warning, if this keeps up, factories will shut down just like they did during COVID. White House Trade Rep Jamieson Greer also spoke up. The US bent over backwards, but the CCP isn't keeping its promises. After the Swiss talks, Beijing did ease rare earth exports a little. But new info says this easing was only for Europe. So basically, the CCP is pulling its usual trick. On paper, it relaxes, but in practice, it uses endless delays to keep the squeeze on. Chinese people know these tactics well, but Westerners still don't get how two-faced the CCP is. And if rare earths are like this, there's probably a lot more hidden foot-dragging going on too. That's why Trump said totally violated. Why won't the CCP keep its word? I see two main reasons. First, the CCP's default playbook with the US is to never keep promises and just stall. Everyone saw how a New York international trade judge tried to kill Trump's tariffs. Thankfully, the Federal Appeals Court quickly shot that down and tariffs stayed in place for now. But the CCP is betting that if it stalls long enough, US chaos will hand it an easy win. Second, the CCP's power structure has changed. Xi isn't the sole top dog anymore. It's more of a collective leadership now. In calm times, that might work okay. But in a trade war, it just creates policy confusion and endless flip-flopping. We can see this in how Trump's team keeps asking for direct talks with Xi, and the CCP keeps ducking and dodging. So where is Trump's China policy going next? Let's see what he's been doing lately. Action 1. Purge the national security system. On May 23rd, multiple outlets, AP, Reuters, Financial Times, reported that the White House is making big changes to the national security system. Dozens of national security officials fired. 160 more put on administrative leave because of alleged China ties. This isn't just about scrubbing away the old guard like former advisor Waltz. It's about making sure that during the 90-day trade talks, only truly loyal voices remain. Those left are tough on China. They're pushing for full decoupling, military pushback, and ideological containment. Oh, and in early May, Trump named Marco Rubio to replace Waltz, the first since Kissinger to have such sweeping power over both foreign policy and national security. Action 2. Block visas of Chinese students. On May 28th, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that some Chinese students' visas would be revoked, and new visa interviews paused for extra security checks. Nearly 280,000 Chinese students could be affected, mainly those in sensitive fields or with ties to the CCP. Action 3. Tech blockade. On May 30th, Reuters said Synopsys, a US chip design software giant, will stop all sales and services in China. No new orders starting May 29th. This directly hits the CCP's military tech efforts. And it's not just Synopsys. The Financial Times said the US already ordered Cadence and Siemens EDA to cut off China completely. These three control 77% of the global EDA software market, 80% in China. Without them, it's like trying to build a house with no blueprint, no chip models, no mass production. Plus, the Trump administration also stopped exports of key US tech for jet engines, semiconductors, chemicals, and machinery. Bloomberg said it's in response to China's own rare mineral restrictions. This is a direct hit on China's homegrown passenger jet, the C919. Beijing brags it's the Chinese dream, but in truth, the engines are made by GE and Safran, a French partner, and 70% of key parts are from the West. Action 4. Boost arms sales to Taiwan. Today, Reuters had an exclusive. Trump plans to massively expand arms sales to Taiwan in his next term, way bigger than his first term. For comparison, Trump's first term saw $18.3 billion in sales to Taiwan. Biden's total is only about $8.4 billion. Action 5. No entry for social media censorship. The Trump team just announced it is unacceptable for foreign officials to issue or threaten arrest warrants on U.S. citizens or U.S. residents for social media posts on American platforms, while physically present on U.S. soil. Any foreign official involved in censoring or cracking down on speech on U.S. platforms is barred from getting a visa, and maybe their families too. This is more than a diplomatic warning. It's a direct move to chop down the CCP's overseas censorship machine. The CCP's been using online trolls to silence Chinese voices abroad. Now Trump is saying, this is America, not Beijing's playground. These 5 back-to-back sanctions go right for the CCP's most vulnerable spots. But if we look at this US-China trade clash from a deeper perspective, we'll see that at its core, it's really a showdown between two totally different systems and a clash of beliefs and values. Any trade deal is really just a temporary band-aid, not a true fix. If the US wants to really solve the problem, the real way is to push for cracks within the CCP system itself and ultimately see it collapse altogether. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.